my channel, Mrs. Shank Knits. My name's May and this is Knit With Me number 13. So lucky number 13, my first handful of these videos were done at the very beginning of 2020. I think number 7 was done like in the summer of that year. And then I didn't film another one until February of this year. So 0 Knit With Me videos in 2021. So I think it's been 6 weeks of doing them lately and I'm really enjoying them weekly. I think it's just that I really love watching videos like these. So of course I would want to make videos like these too. Before I get into anything else, I want to talk about this wall behind me. It was totally bare just a few weeks ago and I think it's pretty much done for now. So yeah, I'm just going to show you a little bit of my favorite pieces. All the way over here, you can barely see it. It's a cute mosaic painting that my cousin Jennifer, well, my husband's cousin Jennifer, made with her oldest daughter by painting on paper and then cutting it up once it had dried and gluing it onto a canvas. They made this and sent it to us way back when we lived in Salt Lake City. Those are my mini ears, like my bridal mini ears that I got the last time we went to Disney when we lived in LA. And these 2 ornaments that I'll do a close-up of. There's one there and one over here. They're from my California bestie. She made them and sent them up last Christmas. They actually arrived like the day I was taking the tree down, and so I just put them up on the wall. And then this cross stitch, my daughter Lena made from a Cosmo kit. And Daphne made this one. She actually freehanded this from a picture and she left like an empty square in between each stitch, so it makes this like really neat effect. I made this one, this witchy one, when we first moved to California. It was actually the first crafty thing that I made there besides knitting. It was the first thing I made to hang up there. And this Kermit that you probably can't see well, but I'll kind of show it to you here. The Kermit meme cross stitch is another one by Lena. And this Squidward painting makes me laugh. My oldest made this painting. He was 20 years old when he painted this. It's like ridiculous, hilarious SpongeBob stuff. And then of course my Polka Dot Creek sock blockers. And then this painting that Daphne did when she was maybe 7 in Utah. I love the colors and I love the way she used a Q-tip to dot the whatever they are on the tree, flowers I guess. Anyway, so I'm happy with my wall for now. And this week I have no new FOs, but I'm wearing an older FO. And actually this is what I was wearing when I did my first video back in this apartment, like when we first moved. I have progress on a few of my whips. I have a languishing whip and a lot of new yarn to show you at the end. And if you've never ordered from LoveCrafts before, I have a 20% off coupon code at the end of the video. And yeah, that sound in the background, I hope you can't hear it. It's the Instant Pot. Well, it's my Ninja, but it's on the pressure cooking thing. And it's being kind of loud, sorry. Okay, so I did talk about the shawl when I wore it back in like episode 8 or 9. But I'll talk about it again because it's so pretty and I think everyone should knit one, even if you're not a shawl person. It's called Eloise, designed by Sui and Nam. I'll give you some close-ups here so you can just see how gorgeous it is. I love it so much. Okay, so it's actually the first anniversary of the release of this. So it's kind of a fun time to talk about it too. I am not a shawl person at all. Like I remember when my sister got really into knitting shawls and she must have like at least 2 dozen shawls, no joke by now. But she is a shawl person. Like she's usually dressed up, or at least more dressed up than I usually am anyway. And she's always like, I don't know, she has like a polished look, you know? And so the shawls are perfect for her wardrobe. They really work well for that. But I've never really been interested in knitting shawls, even though there are hundreds, probably thousands of beautiful shawls on Ravelry, because I just like could never picture myself wearing them. Like literally my wardrobe was mostly cut off shorts and tank tops and maybe like a handful of sundresses. I blame California for spoiling me with weather for that being my wardrobe, but I just could not see myself wearing a shawl. And then my dear friend Sue designed this one. Of course, I volunteered for the test group because I wanted to be a part of her first test, naturally. And the shawl looked so pretty. Like I just wondered if there was a way for me to kind of sneak it into my wardrobe. And I decided to use the exact same colors, like the same yarn and colors that Sue used in the sample, because I was just so in love with the look exactly as it was. So like this is mine. I will show you one more time because I'm so madly in love with it. This is how mine turned out. And then I'll show you a picture, like the sample picture from Ravelry of hers. Okay, so the yarn is from Less Traveled Yarn. It's a sport weight, and the colors are Belladonna is the light pink one, and Merlot is the dark pink one. I know it's a little over the top to say this, and I actually posted exactly this thought on Instagram when I finished this and posted like my FO post about it. But this shawl like really changed my outlook on wardrobe knitting and like my own personal style and what I think I'm capable of when it comes to knitting. So first of all, it looks far more complicated than it really is, like especially up in there. Well, you can see a mistake there. Yeah, it looks way more complicated than it really is. And I don't want to make it seem like it's super simple because it's not really, but there's no actual color work in this pattern. Like all of this color work looking is just the magic of slipped stitches. Some stitches are a little tricky, but Sue made some really wonderful videos to kind of walk you through them. So some of them, I feel like some of these stitches make me look like a more prolific knitter than I really was at the time. And I remember saying that to Sue and then her saying to me that like I'm the one that's actually knitting the shawl, so if it looks amazing and I knit it, then I'm an amazing knitter. And that was like a pretty incredible moment for me because I think in a lot of ways, generally, if I can't get something right on the first few attempts, I feel like I'm not going to get it. And I really persisted with this shawl because it's just so beautiful. It was part of a test for a good friend. And I had so much encouragement that I never really, like I didn't give up. Okay, anyway, I finished it, I blocked it, and then I didn't want to take it off. I'm still very much a casual gal. I'm literally wearing a jean skirt and a tank top right now. But I have found ways to work this shawl and other pieces like it into my everyday wardrobe. And I never would have even tried had it not been for Sue designing this. And actually, shortly after I made it, one of my daughters tried to claim it for her own. So I did another one. I'll show a picture of it here. The second time I used Knitting for Olive Merino as the main color and a 3-color effect of the Kokon Linen Merino in white, blue, and pink. I think the colors are Ice, Blue Moon, I want to say cotton, no, not cotton candy, rose gold. I think, pretty sure it's rose gold. And the Knitting for Olive color is called Racoon. So yeah, anyway, that version belongs to one of my teenagers and this pink one is all mine. So this is not a new FO, but definitely one worth talking about. And I have my whips out in front of me. So I will start by telling you that I did not touch my folklore cardigan at all this week. Again, I think I have 2 puffs for my beekeeper's quilt this week. I still have not finished my second sock for the Spring Bloom sock test knit, but I did finish one sock and I'm about to turn the heel on the second one. And I'll show it to you again. This is the one that I finished. I won't go on too much about it because I feel like I covered a lot of it in the last few episodes of this, but I will say the designer, she uses the handle Knit Savvy. She is incredibly talented. Like these socks are really pretty and I'm looking forward to wearing them, but a quick peek at her Ravelry designs had me falling in love with everything. She has such a beautiful collection of sock patterns and other things too, but I was really taken by her socks and I want to knit all of them. The textures of them and the construction of them, I really like them. Obviously, I'll link everything, go check that out. What's next? Okay, so my Mini Vee Tee, it is coming along really nicely. There's so much more to it now. Last week, I was sure this was going to be an FO for this week, but I had some website stuff to deal with, and I lost a day or so with that. So I'm now just rows away from the V part of the Mini Vee. I struggled a lot with this pattern in the fingering weight yarn that the pattern originally called for because I couldn't get gauge. I already told you that, but that ended up working out really well because I switched to the Harrisville Daylights. It's a DK, and it's incredible. I love, love, love the feel of it, and I love the way it's knitting up. Like I just love my stitch definition in this yarn, and I really like the color. It's the 826 color, and it's like just tweedy enough. If you can even see any examples here, son. It's like just a little tiny bit tweedy, just enough for this pattern. I really like it a lot, and I think this project is going to be my main focus for this week. So hopefully it'll be an FO, maybe even by the end of the weekend. We'll see. This really for me was a lesson in how important gauge is, not just in the fit of the garment, but in the drape of the fabric. Like it seems like the right fit is the only focus really in getting gauge. And I understand that obviously is important, but my last version of this would have fit. It just would have looked kind of yucky and made the pattern look bad, right? And now that I've moved to a DK weight and my gauge is totally different, it looks really good. Like obviously it's always good to kind of find a way to make your knitting, like your stitches, look neat. But I feel like it's almost more important in a simple pattern where there's a lot of stockinette, because your stitches can really like, they can either kind of shine and make everything look really nice, or almost like take away from the design of the garment if they're messy. Yeah, so anyway, this knit is much better for me in a DK, but I have seen some beautiful finished mini V's in our test group that were done in fingering, and they look great. So it's not like it's an issue for everyone. I think literally just me. But I was one that couldn't get gauge, and so I switched it up, but I'm very happy with it the way that it is now. Okay, so, oh right, my new wave socks. There's so many balls of yarn for these socks. They've graduated to a basket. Yeah, it's much more manageable in a basket than it is in a project bag when you're working with 4 balls of yarn. So I've been working on these quite a bit. So here's my update on these. I love the color changes and just the way that these yarns work together. So the gray, this one here, the gray, and the lavender are Retrosaria Mondim, and then both of the variegated colors are Riverside Super Soft. And they're not the same base, but they play so well together. The Mondim, as you probably know, is 100% wool, Portuguese wool. And the Riverside is a classic 80-20 mix, like a classic 80-20 sock yarn. But when they're knit together, like in the rows where they're actually knit together, they work so well. I really, really like the way that this is coming together. The pattern is by Sachiko Bergen, and I will link all of her patterns down below because there are some really fun summer choices in there. If you want to cast on a tank or something, she has a lot of fun options. And the Beekeeper quilt is my last up on the table. I literally have 2 puffs again, and not quite, the second one is not quite done, almost. So I'm just casting off over here. So like technically when you make these, most people make them and stuff them immediately. I was doing that for years, but I have moved a lot. And so eventually it got to the point where I was like, I just don't want to move with all these stuffed puffs, because at the time I had like, I don't know, 300 or 400, and I just, yeah, so I stopped stuffing them around 300 or 400. And yeah, so now I just cast off when I get to the top, so that they're just like pouches, just these little flat pouches. And then I'll stuff them later, so that's going to be like a whole thing. And then I'll sew them up and then attach them to each other. So they're both Hue Loco this week. This is Bashful, and this is, no, this is not Hue Loco. This is actually Crux Fibers. This is not Hue Loco. This is Crux Fibers from the Advent Calendar 2020. But anyway, yeah, so I knit them flat, and I literally have 2 this week because that's just the kind of week that it's been. I really love the Hue Loco sock, especially. I go back to it again and again. It's soft, the colors are always beautiful, and I always end up with these cute little leftover balls to make puffs with. I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm done this blanket. I'll have to, I guess I can make scrappy socks or something. But anyway, that's it for my whips. But now I get to show you all the yarn that I got this week. And this is my little LoveCrafts haul. I think instead of just awkwardly crinkling the bag, I will just film it and put it on top of this. So all of this is for dog sweaters. All of it is paint box yarns, and it's all for dog sweaters. I've been working on some fun ideas for different kinds of sweaters for dogs and just the way they fit. Like I really am trying to make patterns so that dogs can, like all dogs of all sizes can wear these patterns. I've been trying out different constructions, and I have 2 that I really like that I feel are really adaptable. I just have to knit them up again with one of the designs I've been working on and get a test group going. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to show you. So all of this is paint box, all of it's for Nacho. The DK and the Chunky are for some sweaters that I have planned for like later this year. And the cotton and the 4-ply are for some really fun summer dog knitting. And I was actually thinking of adding the black and the pink 4-ply as some contrast for like toes and heels and some of the sock patterns that are in my queue right now. It's been maybe a year since I bought any new yarn, maybe even a little bit over a year. And I honestly, like my stash is so big that I could just keep knitting through it. Like I don't really need to get new yarn, but I needed this specifically for knitting my dog sweater samples. And of course, it's so fun to play with new yarn. I also got some 6mm Chiagu circulars for my chunky yarn. These needles are my favorite because the cable is never ever stiff or annoying to work with, like literally every other brand of circular needle that I have ever tried, and the tips are super pointy. So yeah, that was my LoveCrafts haul, and I have a 20% off coupon code for you to use on your first LoveCrafts order. So if you already ordered from them, this is not going to work, but if you're new to LoveCrafts and you want to try them out, go for it. I'm in Canada, and my order was here within a week, which is pretty amazing for international shipping lately. Like, it's just been kind of a mess overall. And so I was expecting it to take a lot longer than it did. So I think my plan for this coming week, I'm going to finish my Mini Vee Tee, and I'm going to focus on knitting up my first summer dog vest so I can show you next week and get my test group going. I cannot possibly express to you how excited I am about that. Like, I'm both nervous and excited. Most of this really excited because I wanted to do this for so long, and I'm finally doing it. Okay, so I'm going to end this here and remind you to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and that if you're new here and you like these super casual knitting videos, to subscribe to my channel for more. And of course, you can always follow me on Instagram for, daily knitting updates and pattern shares and all that kind of fiber arts fun stuff. I am Mrs. Shank Knits over there. So thanks again for watching, guys. Bye.